Welcome to this episode of It's CyberNorth with me, Phil Jackman. I'm one of the directors of CyberNorth, and we're working to support the growth of the cybersecurity sector in the region. We do this through three things: building the ecosystem itself, looking at skills, and the thing we're going to talk about today is innovation, something that I think we need much more of in the region. But anyway, I'm joined today by two people: Naomi from Northstar Ventures and Connor from One Click Comply. Naomi, do you want to tell us a bit about yourself?
Yeah, of course. So my name's Naomi Allen Seales. I'm an investment manager at Northstar Ventures. So I've been with Northstar for about 4 years now. We've been operating in the region for the last 20 years, nearly 21 actually. So we're a venture capital firm. So we have a very simple objective, and that's that we invest in high growth potential businesses who are based here in the Northeast, solving global challenges through impact and innovation. So yeah, that's a bit about us.
That leads nicely into Connor, who is one of those high impact, high growth.
Well, we hope so. We want to be, Phil. So yeah, my name is Connor Greig. I'm the CEO and co-founder of a company called One Click Comply. You know us as FAT32 because that was our original name. We make cybersecurity compliance possible in a click. So that's our whole mantra. We're trying to make it super accessible to small businesses and automating all that technical work that's needed to get compliant with hundreds of standards.
Excellent. And both long-time supporters of CyberNorth, so very much appreciate this for that. Thank you very much. So we're going to talk about innovation today. It's something, as I said, it's one of those three key pillars that we're trying to build CyberNorth in the back of. My view is that we don't have enough. We don't have enough new businesses coming through and enough innovation. So for the last 8 years, as part of this mission, I've been trying to create some sort of innovation center, innovation zone, and we'll talk a bit about that later. But we've just run 2 innovation centers, one in the summer last year and one earlier on this year. You took part in both of them, one as a participant and then as a come back to talk us all about it. How did you find the experience?
Yeah, it was really interesting because we got to meet loads of companies in the north doing cyber and lots of different ideas. I mean, quantum was a huge one that I found really interesting. So we're in the space of what is a service provider, and we're serving small businesses, and we were hearing about all these kind of rapid, crazy ideas that even we can come up with. So we really enjoyed it, and obviously it wasn't a hugely long program, so it didn't take a lot out of our time, and we got to meet loads of people. In fact, we met our accountants for it, so that's one of the key things we got out of it, and then we met loads of other business partners and clients for it. So we really enjoyed it. It was a good experience for us.
Yeah, it was a nice small group. I mean, smaller than at the end than it was at the beginning.
It was smaller at the end than it was in the beginning, but we powered on through together as a team.
Yeah. No, much appreciated because you came back in the second session to talk about it and tell us about your experience and also talk about fundraising, which we're going to talk about in a minute. But it was all, these 2 were experimental. They were just to try something new. The first one was over a 6-month period. The second one was over a 7-week period. So I think we learned some lessons, and we're still trying to find this. And we'll talk about some of the things that we're going to do later on as we come into the podcast. So we're here to talk about innovation. You've created an innovative product. What's the process of innovation?
Okay, well, you don't start out thinking, I'm going to go make an innovative company. I think that's probably a misnomer. My best friend, who's also called Connor, has a beard. It's very confusing. We decided that we wanted to solve a problem that we had for a long time for our careers, and that was compliance. Nobody likes compliance. It's terrible, it's awful, it's really annoying, it's boring. And we went, okay, how can we do this? And inadvertently, the way that we came up to do that was innovative. So we didn't set out to make an innovation. We then realized, actually, we want to do this in an innovative way. So in all honesty, it started out with just an idea and 2 blokes sat on a Google Meet with some beer, and then it turned into what it is now. But then once you've got this idea and you've got the company, that's when it starts to have to be innovative, because we've had one idea, but you can't just build a company on one idea. So you have to do lots more and do research and work out where you're going to take this product, how you're going to support your customers, and how it is actually going to be innovative. So it started out with just a tiny little idea, drunk on a Google Meet, and now is a high growth, innovative company, hopefully.
Excellent. Well, I think that's some of what we were trying to do around the innovation centres, was to bring people together, to gel ideas, to get people to focus on. So it's that spark between people that creates that innovation. So Naomi, does innovation fit anywhere within your investment?
I mean, yeah, that's what we're looking to invest in, is those companies that, like Connor says, I don't think people set out with the idea of, potentially don't set out with the idea of this is an innovative thing, but then you get to the point where you think, actually, this could be huge. And then that's where venture capital comes in, because we're looking to invest in products that are innovative and are going to disrupt the market and change how people do things and how people live their lives. So that's, very much where One Click Can Buy's product comes in, because it's doing something that's, like you say, quite tedious, quite arduous, long, expensive for companies, and doing it in a much shorter time frame and with a lot less cost attached to it as well. So that's the kind of thing we're looking to invest in, something that's going to change how businesses interact and operate as well. So yeah.
So that's interesting, because kind of what you're saying here is innovation is more of an output or an outcome rather than an initial desire or something.
We had no idea we were doing innovation until someone told us it was innovative and someone validated it. We just had an idea. We didn't know it was venture scalable. We didn't know any of that, which is what you're saying.
Yeah.
So 2 guys, some beer. Where do you take it from there?
So we then went and did a load of research. So it's all well and good having an idea, and you'd be surprised at the stuff you'll come across when you actually start to research, see somebody's done something before. I think we spent probably a month researching, okay, has somebody done it the way we want to do it? Why haven't they? Because that's the other question you have to ask yourself.
Yeah.
If nobody's done it the way we're going to do it, why? Why has nobody invested money in doing it this way? So we had to work out, actually, the way that we want to do this doesn't make sense. So we spent a month researching, looking at lots of companies in the compliance space, cybersecurity space, talking to people, talking to potential customers and asking them about their pain points. Does it align to what we're trying to solve? Because we were the customer before we came up with this company. We were the people buying this kind of software. And then off the back of it, you start to realize, okay, yes, got a good idea. There is reasons why people haven't done it before, but we think we can do it better and beat those reasons. And there is customer demand for it. And that was the most important bit, because even if we can do it better, it doesn't mean somebody's going to buy it. So once we've done that, we're like, okay, we've got an innovative idea. We now need to go and take this and do something with it. And from that point, that was, February, January last year when we did that. So it was really at the start of last year.
So we'll come on to how you get customers in a minute, because I think it's very easy to come up with ideas. It's much more difficult to turn those into saleable products. Where does finance fit in? Where in the site? Is it post-revenue that you would come in and start to invest, or do you invest pre-revenue?
Yeah, so I mean, it depends on, if we're talking about venture capital, it could be pre or post revenue. Like, for example, with One Click Can Buy, we saw the potential for this as a highly scalable product and business based in Sunderland, which again, through the focus of that fund, is around building teams in Sunderland. We saw the potential in the idea quite early on, and the potential in the 2 Connors as well to actually build and deliver on the plan as well. So
you've talked about venture capitalists so far. So are there other ways of getting money out of you, as an expression?
Money out of us? Well, we're purely venture capital, but we do have some quasi equity as well. So we might do a convertible loan note where we go in a bit earlier and convert that to equity later on. But yeah, there are other ways of accessing finance through bootstrapping, angels, and then further along the journey through loan finance as well.
It's a bit like the BBC. There is other options available, isn't there?
I think we may be straying into dangerous territory.
We'll for a company to be right for venture capital, it's not every company is, but we'll do our very best to find the right fit for someone, for a company, because we want to see the region thrive. We want to see businesses being built here. So
absolutely,
yeah.
So you talked about having a viable, scalable product as part of your consideration. What about the relationship to customers, and how does that fit into your equation?
So again, it's I guess when you say the word viable, so it's does it work, but are people going to buy it? So we need to be confident that there are customers who are going to buy this product, and it's going to build from there when we invest. So yeah, really important to have that, to have customers involved as well.
Because for us, we had done early chats. That was the biggest selling point, I think, because we didn't have a product on January 31st that we could go and sell. We got a service, we could go do it manually, but that's what we're trying to replace. So what we try to do is we try to sell the idea of the product and know that at the end of it, we're not going to take that payment. So we were pitching to them, here's what we think we're going to do. And from that, we got early interest, and that helped us work out who is our customer going to be. Because then once we'd built an MVP, so a minimum viable product, and we had that, they then started trialing that with customers. But that takes time. And certainly in the compliance space, you can't, with an MVP, you try to be as lean, but it has to be viable. In compliance and what we do, because we're touching lots of different parts of people's businesses, our viability, we have to have a very secure, very good product that's not just going to fall over tomorrow. So our minimum viable product took a little bit longer than maybe what would take for a lot of companies. And we then use that to then reiterate and work out, okay, is this the right kind of customer? Are they the right kind of fit? How big do they need to be? How small do they need to be? How much money? Where do they need to be based? What's their interest? And then all of that comes together when we're pitching to investors like Northstar, and we're telling them, we think that we're going to sell this many units to these kind of people, even though we've got no customers right now. So we were super early, like we're saying, pre-revenue, but we had an idea of where we think we're going to take it. So we think the product's going to look like this, and we think our customer's going to look like this.
Yeah, but you had a lot of faith in what we're saying, presumably.
So I was just going to jump in there because we've spent a lot of time talking about the product and innovation, but I think the thing that hopefully comes through with what Connor's saying is the key thing for us then as well is the team. Mm-hmm. All the things that Connor's just said, they're like massive tick boxes. If someone comes in and they can explain, how they're going to sell it, who their ideal customer is, and how they're going to execute in a plan, then that's huge for us. Because we need to have faith in that team. And, we had that with the Connors, given their experience and given their personality as well, and adaptability, resilience, all of that stuff comes into it because, the plan is one potential scenario, the least likely scenario. So it's ensuring that, we're investing in a team who can build something that's going to be huge and is going to provide what we're looking for.
Yeah,
so
that's really interesting because products, yes, plan, yes, but people
is huge.
Do you tend to invest in people who have teams around them, or does it tends to be? Do you invest in people who are just flying solo?
So we tend to not invest in solo founders because it's hard. Can you imagine doing this on your own?
I was just thinking. So obviously, I'm doing this with my best friend, and a lot of people will do the same. And I do know solo founders, and it's really hard, even with your best friend, to start a company, because that resilience bit, it's like you've got a plan, but nothing ever goes to plan, does it really? So you have to be able to build yourself back up when things don't go to plan, certain things, you don't expect to happen. If you did that on your own, it really would be impossible. It's really, really hard. So we see like a lot of people in the founder networks that we talk to who are solo founders, they feel that, and they feel that pressure. And it's really hard from kind of like, if I looked at it from my perspective, if you're investing in one person, what happens if that one person can't be resilient and pick themselves back up after it? Whereas me and the other Connor, we just bully each other. We just keep bullying each other, and then that's how we get through it.
And that's another point. It's maybe less bullying, but more balanced. If something doesn't work and maybe one founder's like, no, this is the type of customer we're going for. We have to make this work. And then the other founder brings that balance and says, actually, maybe we should be going down this route. So those are all the things we're looking for. How does the team interact together? Do we think that, as a team that they can execute? So
they say that the plan stays in place until first contact with the enemy, doesn't it? So that's really interesting what you're saying, because I think you need different people in your team. Yeah. Just some people to say, well, hold on. That's a great idea, but hold on, how's it going to actually work in place? Yeah. So a lot of shoe leather. And how did you survive during that period of when you had no product, no sales?
It's really hard. Honestly, it's probably the hardest period, other than trying to execute on the plan, which is harder for different reasons. It's both a benefit and a disbenefit. But prior to investment and building the product was really hard for us. You are living on savings. You're trying to save as much cost as possible. You're attending things like the Innovation Centre to try and get as much knowledge. You're also pitching. You're reiterating your pitch. And then you're also trying to build the product. And then also try and get a pipeline of customers. And back then, it was just myself and Connor. And then Finn joined us around about that time as well. So we were all together, just the three of us, constantly trying to get a product together and raise investment and do customers. And every day was a challenge. And it ebbs and flows. So some days can feel really, really bad. And some days you get a nice email from an investor and it's an amazing day, or you have a really good conversation with a prospect and it's a really good day. But most of the time, it's pretty crap, to be honest with you. But you're always thinking, what is the end outcome that I want from this? And you have to remind yourself of that. And that's why having another co-founder is super important, because you have to back each other and keep each other going, because there will be moments where either of you doubt that this is the right idea, and it is the right idea, but if you're on your own, you would just back out.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have in your mind what it is you're trying to achieve, where you would like to go with this?
Yeah, you have to, and I think a lot of founders forget that. So think about exit, M&A, or, if you want to be crazy, an IPO. So these are all the things that will happen to the company after a certain period, or management buyout. We have to think about that, because that's also another thing that investors are looking at. Not so much hugely at early stage, they're not going to be quizzing you 100% on it, but any investor straight after your pre-seed is going to want to know how are they going to get their capital out of this business. So we had to think about that as well.
Yeah, I think that's something, if I would say, one of the key things that's often missing from pitch decks, because often you find founders who are, they're building, hustling, which, is exactly what you should be doing. But if you're coming to look for investment, you need to think about how that investor is going to get their return, and that's through an exit. So even if, like you say, at the very start, you're really unsure of what that could look like, you do need to, at least be aware of it, so that in conversations with investors, they get the confidence that they know why they're taking on venture capital.
Yeah, and so when we're thinking what's the plan, the end goal, in lots of different areas. So the end goal for the company as an investment, so a portfolio company, what are we going to do for that? We're also thinking the end goal in terms of where do we want to be in revenue, year 1, year 2, year 3, technology. That's a huge bit that people forget. You'll build your initial product and then you'll not know what to build next. So constantly getting feedback from customers, doing research, working out things that we could add in year 2, year 3, and add value to our product. And all of this you have to think about, because at the end of it, there is a stop date that you have to think about, whether you exit the company, you sell the company, you buy out the shares, you go public, or you extend the runway for all of those different things. You have to think about it very early on, because that's going to be a huge selling point behind your business when you're talking to investors.
Yeah, I always think when I see people, the thing that they do spend least time on is thinking about the future and how they're going together. Much of it occupied with today's tasks, as it were. So anyway, you invested in Northstar's invested in your business. Well, not say how much, but it would buy a very nice house in Sunderland, and perhaps 2 or 3.
Unfortunately, we're not allowed to do that. We're not allowed to do that. I did ask, we're not allowed to do that.
The question is, why do you need? What did you want the money for?
Yeah, that's a really fair question. So a lot of people can start. So if you start a small business, then you go out and you get customers, and you get those customers to pay you, and you try and grow your business, and you do that at a certain speed. And that speed is a speed that you're comfortable with, or maybe uncomfortable with, or you get a bank loan or whatever. And all of these have different speeds in growing the business. And it's all about what you want to do at the end. Do you want to own that business in the end? Do you want to own a part of that business in the end? So the reason why we went and got investment instead of doing what a small business would do, which is try and get clients and build slowly, is because we want to do a rapid scale. So we want to get out as many customers, help them as much as possible. In order to do that, you have to have money. And if we are pre-revenue and we have no customers, we have no money. So investment allows us to do that. It also allows us to look after ourselves. So we now get paid. We didn't get paid when we were starting the thing. It feels crazy.
As well.
Yeah, we get paid. We get a paycheck. We don't get a house in Sunderland, but we do get a paycheck. But something like that. So that helps with that resilience, right? Because at the end of the day, you're getting paid. I'm not being paid millions, by the way. I just want to say that. But I am being paid. So that's super important for me in my mindset, because I'm going to work. I'm creating my company with my best friend, and I know at the end of the month, no matter what happens, I'm taking my paycheck and I'm going to do it better next month, and then next month and next month. So you take investment to do it rapidly, to scale. And there's the phrase, the venture scalable product. We are a venture scalable product. We're trying to scale it to a large mass in a quick amount of time, rather than spending our time slowly building up. But then the disbenefit is we will not retain 100% of our business, because we're taking investment.
So we've kind of been through the same sort of process with CyberNorth, but we've taken a very slow, gradual approach, and not had to borrow any money or get because I'm not sure what we would borrow against. But anyway, Naomi, we're not here to talk about that. Tell us about the process of the funding process that Connor's been through.
Yeah, of course. So I think, like we spoke about, it was pretty quick with Connor, because all the things we've spoken about the product, innovative, scalable, 2 guys with lots of experience who have shown, what we're looking for, the resilience, adaptability, ability to pivot if things don't look quite as rosy as they thought they would. So I think the process is pretty quick in terms of bringing you in to pitch to the team. So we do, we're very informal. We've no kind of arduous application process, anything like that. It literally starts with a coffee and a sit down and chat through the plan. Again, what you need to remember, like Connor said, you're bringing in an investor into your business who, it's a long-term relationship. So it's about making sure that the fit is right with the fund and the company. So it's pretty quick, and then we do an investment paper, bring that to our investment committee, and then we go through kind of legals and due diligence as well, and
because I think
invest. So
I think
what
for
do you
us,
think the
that's
timeline
what I was
was
gonna say.
altogether?
I think for us, from start to finish, it was probably to the point of doing our term sheet, which is kind of the demarcation point. It probably took us just over 2 months from initial coffee, and it could have been quicker actually. But then I was, as you know, I was going down to London and doing stuff down in London. I was doing this with you, and then also we weren't just talking to Northstar, we were talking to other investors and meeting them. So I think it took us just over 2 months, but we probably could have done it quicker. But even still, just to just to be transparent, that is really quick. But also that 2 months felt like 2 years for us.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing is and the last 9 months for us feels completely opposite. It feels like it just went, in a blink. But yeah, I think it was just over 2 months end to end for us, to the point of initial email to term sheet.
So Naomi, did you expect some other things from the company? Did you put in people or put in resource to help them shape their business?
Yeah, so I mean, this is a really important point on the particular fund that we invested in. So it was through our Venture Sunderland fund. So I spoke at the start about we're us investing in founders who are based in the region, and that's to drive regeneration, growth and prosperity. But with Venture Sunderland, we take that geographical remit and really hone in, clues in the name. We're building teams in Sunderland, so it was really important for us that the business was based there, and that any new team members were there as well, because that fund is all about building big businesses based in Sunderland who it could be the next stage coming out of Sunderland, for example. That's our aim for the fund. And yeah, with Sunderland, it's a really exciting time for us with all of the other investment that's happening in other sectors. So you've got esports, Crownwork Studio, even everything that's happening in terms of infrastructure and hospitality. It's a really good time to invest in Sunderland and build businesses there. So yeah, the whole point of that fund is to provide high quality jobs for local people. And we're all in the same team here. We're trying to grow the business together. So we will introduce to people in our network who we think can help. So in the case of One Click Comply, we introduced the chairman, who I think has provided a lot of experience and been really helpful for the founders as well. So that was done at around the time of investment as well. So that's kind of one example of where we help. Okay.
That's great. And just say for the record, what's good for Sunderland is good for the North East.
Yeah, exactly, definitely.
I think we need as a region to celebrate each other's successes, perhaps a bit more than we do. So we're coming towards the end of what we want to talk about, but cyber tech, big area for you in terms of investment. Do you find that it's a growing sector? Or?
I mean, yeah. So cyber, I think, not going to point out the obvious. It's becoming more and more prevalent for us as an organisation, the businesses that we invest in. The market's just growing rapidly. As a regional VC, we can't really get too sector specific because we wouldn't have the deal flow. But in terms of any innovation in the cyber sector, we would definitely be keen to look at, as long as it's not a competitor to One Click Comply.
I'm glad you said that. I was thinking about that.
So just thinking over the next year or so. What's your plans?
Yeah, so for us, we're growing the team. So I'm not sure when this will go out, but there's probably job ads on our website. If it goes out when I think it is, there'll definitely be job ads on our website. So
or cybernorth.biz on the job
well, yeah,
site.
they'll be on both places. So we're growing quite quickly. So we're hiring 4 new technical roles right now, and over the next 2-3 months. So this will definitely be applicable to when we're recording. And also we're hiring more salespeople. So we're growing really quickly for the next year, and that's what our focus is R&D. So making our product better, getting in the hands of more people, and then making it better again based on what they say. And it's as simple as that for us for the next year.
Excellent. And the same question for you, Naomi. What's your plans for the next year or so?
Yeah, so we're still very early days of Venture Sunderland. So it was launched last year, and we have made 2 investments so far, but we're building the pipeline, looking for high growth businesses based in Sunderland. We also have our EIS Growth Fund, where we invest a bit later on in the journey into scalable businesses. And we are the preferred bidder on a new university spin-out fund. We'll be investing in spin-outs from unis and also backing businesses that have already spun out from universities. So that's, again, Northeast, so Northeast unis. So that's very exciting as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll look forward to hearing more about that, because I think it's another area where we could do so much better. I mean, Newcastle is the only city outside of London which has 2 academic centres of excellence in cybersecurity. Yet there's not enough products coming out of it.
I didn't know that.
No,
How bad is that?
That's
How bad is
very
that?
interesting.
Only city outside of London, but there you go. Anyway, so let's draw this to a bit of a close. What are our plans in terms of CyberNorth, in terms of innovation? Well, as I've said to start off with, we need more innovation. We need more companies coming forward. I think we need people with more ideas, some which will work, some which won't, because without those ideas, you don't get anything off the ground. But what I'm taking away from today is it's not just a product, it's not just a plan, it's the people and show the resilience that's going through them. So our vision now, and we're talking to NECA about this, and anybody who'll listen, is to create an innovation zone within the region, a place where people can come to share ideas, to develop their ideas, to feed off each other, and to a physical location where we can come and take people to. Because we have people come from Australia, from Canada, from the UAE to visit the region, and it'd be good to have them taken to some physical location where they can see innovation in action. So watch out for these plans, and no doubt we'll come back and talk about that much later. So thank you very much, Naomi. Thank you very much, Connor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I wish you every success in everything that you do. I know you'll get there, so that's fine.
Thanks.
Thank you, Phil.